Okay, so breaking news. Russell Westbrook has fired his agent who's been with him since he was drafted with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, there's a belief that his former agent as well as Russell Westbrook had differences on his future. There's also some rumors out there that suggest that he was talking, the agent was talking to Clutch Sports about the trade speculations and destinations Russell Westbrook can go to. Also, coming out from this whole entire news front, Russell Westbrook let it be known that he's not requesting a trade, hasn't requested a trade. We still have no backstory on when Russell Westbrook attended the Summer League games. He was on one side of the court and LeBron James on the other side of the court, which was a different perspective that we did not see last year in the Summer League games. Russell Westbrook and LeBron James and AD, they were all sitting together, talking, laughing, this, that, and the third, But this year, it just seems like everything has changed. Now, I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents, what I believe what's going on. I feel like Russell Westbrook secretly want to be traded out of the Los Angeles Lakers. And the reason why he wants to be traded away from the Los Angeles Lakers, because, Russell Westbrook is a very thin-skinned athlete. Let's just go ahead and just throw it out there. And ever since Russell Westbrook got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers last year, his name has been in a bunch of trade possibilities, a bunch of trade rumors. He's been in the rumor mill since he got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Not to mention the fact the front office has not been very supportive of Russell Westbrook. The Irvin Magic Johnson interview when he was on Get Up and First Take, talking about, telling the world, which we all knew, that Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka had other plans as far as changing the roster. And the Russell Westbrook idea was placed in front of them, and LeBron James was heavily pushing this, as well as AD. And you got that going on, as well as Irvin Magic Johnson talking about, the Lakers were thinking about re-signing Alex Caruso. The Lakers were interested in a trade that would send Buddy Hield to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers had other plans, but those other plans were put on the back shelf and ultimately just thrown in the wastebasket because LeBron wanted Russell Westbrook. Now, you got all that going on, as well as LeBron James is not confirming nor denying his involvement with Russell Westbrook. And as the year went on in the NBA season, the less and less interesting LeBron James was with Russell Westbrook. In the beginning of the season, you will see them sit side by side. In the beginning stages of it, you saw LeBron James trying to make this work. You saw Russell Westbrook trying to make this work. LeBron James got in, talked to the media, talking about how we're just going to let Russell Westbrook cook and let Russell Westbrook be Russell Westbrook. And that's what Russell Westbrook was doing. So this relationship deteriorated in a matter of one calendar NBA season. His name is in and out of people's mouths about the the possible destinations Russell Westbrook can go. You got all these NBA fans, these fanatics talking about, anybody would take Russell Westbrook contract. He had 2 years remaining at that particular time, and a lot of people were utilizing the point of, if you want to dump salary, you would want Russell Westbrook on your roster. Just think of all that money that's going to be freed up if you keep him on your roster. That was the attractive piece about Russell Westbrook. Now, people are leaving that perspective and saying, well, Russell Westbrook can still play. He can still average a triple-double. Russell Westbrook will be great for a team that's trying to put butts in seats, trying to sell season passes, and, he's Mr. Triple-Double. If you've been watching and paying attention to Russell Westbrook, his athleticism has deteriorated. He's not the same player he was when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, when he made a brief stop with the Houston Rockets. He was decent for that 1 year with Houston. And he's definitely not the same player when he was traded to the Wizards. It just seems like overnight his athleticism deteriorated. His skill set has dropped. He's always been known as an ISO player. He can't play without the ball. It's not like you can put him in the corner and let him be a shooter. That's not in Russell Westbrook's DNA. So you got all of these issues. The market is very cold for Russell Westbrook. No one was interested in Russell Westbrook other than the Lakers last year. And no one's interested in Russell Westbrook this year. It's just the facts. The market is dry. The market is not even interested in a Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has been in all types of trade packages over this summer. Russell Westbrook for Kyrie. The Brooklyn Nets is not interested in that trade. Even if the Los Angeles Lakers get both even if the Brooklyn Nets, get the Los Angeles Lakers, both of their draft picks, maybe a player, and Russell Westbrook, that's still not interesting. Even if Brooklyn traded away some assets they don't want, that's still not interesting enough for the Brooklyn Nets. And that's not going to make Kevin Durant any more happier than where he is right now. I don't think Kevin Durant is totally happy with the Brooklyn Nets. So that's you're just trading away one headache for another headache. And I feel like the Russell Westbrook is a bigger headache than the Kyrie Irving, even though I feel like with this year, you're going to get a heavily motivated Kyrie Irving that's fighting and playing for a contract. That works well for Brooklyn than trading for Russell Westbrook. Then you got the San Antonio Spurs. I don't understand why would the San Antonio Spurs be interested in a Russell Westbrook when they're in rebuilding mode. It makes no sense for the San Antonio Spurs to trade for Russell Westbrook. They got rid of their best player because they're in rebuilding mode. All right. The Charlotte Hornets theory where he would be traded to Charlotte, that was decent and interesting, but in order for that to happen, the Lakers are going to have to give up on both of their draft picks to even make that interesting for Charlotte to take Russell Westbrook off their hands. And the Charlotte Hornets are not really in no desperate situation to even want Russell Westbrook. Now you got this conspiracy trade theory that Russell Westbrook could possibly go to the Utah Jazz. Why would Danny Ainge want Russell Westbrook when it's clearly obvious that they're rebuilding? They're trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. They're trying to get a king's ransom for Donovan Mitchell, which I feel like ultimately he's going to go to the Knicks. Ultimately, the Knicks are going to have to give up on a lot of draft picks in order for that to work. But I feel like the Knicks are going to do it because I feel like the Knicks are desperate enough to do it. They desperately seeking Susan, needing a big-time star with the Knicks, and that would be the perfect fit. I'm not a huge I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't think he's that big of a superstar, but that's neither here nor there. He had one great season when he was in the bubble, but after that he done fizzled out. But that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that. We'll cross that bridge when that bridge is met in our way. All right. Well, that's in our way. So I just don't see Russell Westbrook being traded anytime soon. Russell Westbrook. This is how much Russell Westbrook believes in free agency or the open market. He believes in it so much he opted in to that $40+ million contract. And I guarantee you, Jeannie Buss wasn't happy when they found out that he did this. Rob Pelinka wasn't happy. But you know who was not happy at all when he opted in? LeBron James. If Russell Westbrook would have if he would have opted out, which that would have been the dumbest thing imaginable. That's going to be the most money Russell Westbrook is ever going to get from now moving forward. Okay, if he wants to continue playing basketball, when this $40 million contract is up, he's never going to get another $40 million contract. He might get the player exception, the veteran minimum, but there's not going to be a lot of teams in line willing to give him $20, $30 million a year. Those days are behind Russell Westbrook. So it's obvious that Russell Westbrook was going to opt into that contract. It was very obvious. I don't know why Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, or LeBron James thought that he was going to opt out. That would have benefited their priorities. It would not benefit Russell Westbrook's. All right. I've been saying this for the longest. No one wants to believe it, but I'm going to say it again. Russell Westbrook will be with the Lakers for this year. There's no takers for Russell Westbrook. I feel like the only thing that, and the reason why he's going to be with the Lakers, Jeannie Buss does not want to give up on those draft picks. She knows that the end is coming. I told you guys that I feel like Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, and the Lakers front office, they have already pushed the rebuilding button. That's why they hired an assistant coach who never been a head coach in the NBA. So they obviously got a coach that's going to grow with them. Okay? That choice doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win titles. I'm not saying Darvin Ham is terrible, but this will be his first coaching head coaching gig, and he's going to learn as he go. So they got their coach booked in. If you look at the Lakers roster, the only player that they're going to have, as well as players that's eaten up a lot of salary capital, LeBron is in his last year, and LeBron has not yet let it be known that he's going to re-sign with the Lakers. He's not going to re-sign with the Lakers because the Lakers are in rebuilding mode. They'll have Russell Westbrook off their books, and then all they'll have is AD and a handful of players, and they're going to build around AD and see how that works. But they're going to be on a short leash with AD, and they'll give AD a try. But ultimately, I feel like AD is probably going to be traded in a couple of years. But if you look at the landscape, yeah, Jeannie Buss, Rob Pelinka, they have already pushed the reset button. They're resetting. They're getting back into the lab and trying to draft solid players for the purple and gold. I know Laker fans do not want to hear this, but it's the honest to God truth. They don't have enough on that roster to compete to win an NBA title next season. They're not as better than the Phoenix Suns, even though the Phoenix Suns dropped a little bit. They're not as good as the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, even though they lost a player to the Knicks, they're still better than the Los Angeles Lakers, all right? They're not even better than the Clippers. The Clippers lost both of their stars last year, and they still made it to the playoffs. Okay, so and that's only when they get both their stars back, they're going to be a little bit better. And the Golden State Warriors are going to be around this block for at least a handful of seasons. So they're not even the fifth best team. I would give them either sixth or seventh best team, but 6 or 7 doesn't really get you anywhere except a meeting with the best team in the league, or the second best team in the league, which you're going to be exit stage left. Even if the Lakers make it to the playoffs, I have doubts about that. It's a chemistry balance, a flaw in the Lakers roster. They got pieces that if these pieces were on other teams, it'll probably work, but all of these pieces really don't fit with the Lakers. Russell Westbrook does not blend well with LeBron James. Both of these guys are ISO players, but LeBron James is an ISO player that can play the perimeter. Also has a high IQ, can play off the ball in certain segments. Russell Westbrook is he only plays and thinks one way. So I just don't see how this is ultimately. They don't even got enough shooters. They're so bad for shooters that they're willing to trade for Kyrie Irving. But they don't have enough draft capital to even get Kyrie Irving. So this is horrible, folks. This is horrible. But I've been saying this for ever since the start of last year. I didn't think the Lakers were that good. They wasn't that impressive. I told you guys that it had the makings of them pushing the reset button. They have already pushed it. The Lakers are just going to move on. And, if you start looking at the NBA rules, just recently in NBA news, I think they set back the age limit. You can be 18 to enter the NBA. They're getting younger, and you can start in NBA younger and younger, which means that it's not going to be a lot of 30-year-old players unless they really take care of themselves, unless they're stars. But, you're not going to see 36, 37-year-old players anymore in the NBA. They'll probably be under veteran minimums, but the veteran minimums are probably going to be going to the 30-year-old players. Just think, if you get players coming into your league at 18, signing rookie contracts, then signing a 5-year extension, the average NBA player will probably go through 2 contracts at least until there's another 18-year-old out there that can take over and fill that roster spot. Just think about that. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's what's going on with the Russell Westbrook news. It is what it is with Russell Westbrook. He's going to be with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's going to wear the purple and gold, and Darvin Hams are going to try to experiment it and try to fit him in, try to get him in, and this, that, and the third. But I feel like the Lakers are like a 45-win team. I give them a 50-win team. I just don't see this working. Anyway, it's your boy. I'm up out of here. Deuces.